Welcome back in. The American Red Cross is calling it an emergency blood shortage, with donations falling sharply just as hospitals face increased demand. Joining us now is Rachel Hebner-Zawadny and Promedica Dr. Michael Morant to explain why blood donations are needed now more than ever and how you all can help save lives. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Let's first start with the shortage.
Sure.
You mentioned something to me earlier that is not something that you say very often.
So we saw a decrease in about 25% in June. And as of today, we're about 2 days away from an O crisis.
Wow.
And part of that is because, we lose about 38,000 units during the summer anyway, because school isn't in session. But it's also a big kind of a trauma season too, where people are out traveling more, they're on the roadways, they're on boats. And so we've just seen a major decline. And we don't want to get the hospitals to be in a situation where they have to make decisions on critical surgeries or treatments.
Right, doctor, that's kind of where you come in, because you're the one on that at the receiving end of these donations. Talk a little bit about how important they are and how they're used.
Well, when you have blood, is not just used for red cells. It's broken down into component therapy, platelets, things of that nature. And it hasn't happened for maybe about a year now, but we've had to actually cancel cases for a shortage. And a lot of these patients have waited, and some of them are critical. And in order to do them safely, we need these blood products standing in the operating room or in the blood banks at the various hospitals.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before, but I think it's worth reiterating, is that some people might just think, well, can't you stock up throughout the year and have extras? And it really doesn't work that way.
No, because it's perishable. So your red cells last about 42 days, platelets are 5 to 7, and plasma can be frozen for up to a year. So we constantly have to make sure that we have a decent amount of supply. We have to collect 13,000 units nationwide every day just to be able to deliver to the hospitals. So we can't manufacture it. It has to come from a human.
Right. And you mentioned it can be broken up and do different things, but you also mentioned O. Talk a little bit about, we want everybody's blood, but O is important.
So O is the most common blood type there is. About 80% of the population approximately is type O. And then there's RH factor, which is positive or negative, and that occurs oftentimes during pregnancy. That's what happens there. But it's more importantly for us, it's the component therapy, the platelets specifically, which are the key components which can prevent bleeding. We have mechanisms to treat low red cells sometimes with various medications, but the platelets are the platelets, and if they don't have them, they got to be transfused, especially in an emergency situation or in a bleeding patient after specifically cardiac surgery or trauma.
Right, that trauma, as we mentioned, we don't like to think about that, but unfortunately, we don't necessarily know when these situations, these emergencies are going to happen, and we don't know when it's going to be us or our loved one who is the person who needs the blood to survive.
And it's not just, situations that he's in. We've got sickle cell patients. We have new moms that might need, those blood products. So it's just really critical that, we get those donors in the door every 56 days if we can, and collect those life-saving units.
To keep, as you said, what, 13,000?
A day.
A day. So there are some promotions that are going on right now. So lucky for you, you can get something out of it too in a couple of cases. First of all, you've got, for the poor Browns fans out there, yeah, I said that. You might be able to they can get a t-shirt.
A commemorative Browns t-shirt, and then next Monday is the Mud Hens Drive
Okay.
in the Roost. And that is going to be a Cedar Point drive. So if you're not familiar with our Cedar Point drives, anybody who presents that day will get a Cedar Point ticket.
Oh, nice.
And we've got plenty of spots available next week, but we've got 2 great opportunities for you to not only get something, but do something that's really meaningful and important.
But you could feel really good about that as well. So the first one, if we can go back to that, it's at the church. There we go, First Christian Church there in Bowling Green. That one, if you sign up with that keyword Browns, you get that commemorative shirt. But then also, if you want to be downtown at the Mud Hens, go to the Roost, and you can be also entered, you get the Cedar Point pass, but you can also be entered in to win some Mud Hens tickets with that one too.
That's correct. I believe it's 4 Mud Hens tickets.
Okay, so you want to
Yeah.
get those tickets as well. And I know there's movie passes, there's all kinds of
Yeah, $15 movie pass. And throughout the summer, just keep checking back. We have some really cool things coming up this summer as well. But, the Cedar Point drives are usually pretty popular. So we know that Cedar Point tickets aren't cheap. So.
They're not. You
Yeah.
know, you want them. And Doctor, just tell us again why it's just so important that people are willing to roll up their sleeves.
Well, I mean, if they don't, people will die, and you never know when it's their turn, so to speak, or whether relatives' terms or what have you. And there hasn't been any national catastrophes this year, to my knowledge, of any significance, but they're coming.
Yeah.
Whether they're hurricanes or tornadoes, that kind of things. We haven't suffered a major earthquake in California for a while, but that's someday on the future. And
We got to knock on
yeah,
wood,
exactly.
I feel
But,
like.
I mean, all
with
these
that.
things come, and it would be absolutely catastrophic to have a marginal amount of blood available, and then the repercussions and the ripple effect
Yeah.
of it would shut down, urgent surgery, elective surgery, if there was a massive catastrophe somewhere that required blood.
Yeah, so we're in that situation now, folks, where we really need you to roll up those sleeves and donate your blood. You can get onto redcrossblood.org also to find the nearest drive to you, closest to you, and just put in your zip code and they'll get you squared away there.
We will.
Yeah.
We'll take it.
Folks,
you.
thanks for being
Yeah.
here.